Unapologetically, Like Us conversations, where we talk about anything and everything. No regrets, no remorse. Are you ready? Because we are.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is Grace. We want to say welcome to our latest episode of Unapologetically Like Us Conversations. Today we're going to be talking to Mary Ellen, and she is an amazing medium who can speak with and about past history, past relationships, past family, people who have passed on. And I thought it would be great, since our other medium episode got such great reviews and responses, that this would be a different viewpoint and something, that people enjoy and want, and especially on Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah.
Good. She can tell people, yep, you found the love of your life. No, I don't know if I can do that or not. I'll just say it. So, Tiyanna, do you have anything to say?
No, nothing particularly. I'm just excited for us to go ahead and jump in. And so I don't want to delay all of the good juice that we have for this episode. So let's just get straight into it. Really quickly, Miss Mary Ellen, if you don't mind.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, you cut out.
Oh, I cut out.
There we go.
There we go. Can you tell us the difference between a psychic and a medium, just so all of the listeners have a good baseline?
Absolutely. So the difference between a psychic and a medium is also psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. And so psychics actually have that intuitive ability. So, when you get a phone call, a lot of people, I like to say everyone has a little bit of psychic in them. So when you get a phone call and you just know, like, oh, I'm going to call Brad. And then all of a sudden you look at your phone and Brad calls. That's your psychic ability. So we all have that in us. Mediumship is a little different, though. Mediumship is being able to connect with past loved ones. So connecting to the other world, connecting to guides, connecting to a whole nother plethora of energies, I would like to say. And that's something that either you were born with it, it was developed because, I would like to say, trauma. It actually does develop it because you become so in tune to the other world, or also you can learn it. You can learn it. So it just depends on the person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, we never do scripted questions. We just answer off the cuff and ask you stuff. And so typically I just say, what made you get started? Why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us how you got into what you're doing?
So I love dead people. No, they were like, what are you doing? And to be fair, people still ask me that question probably every single day. Why? So, I'm going to start off really like early ages of my life. I would have invisible friends, right? And I always thought, like, okay, I'm just like that weird introvert that has invisible friends. Like it's totally normal, right? Like kids do. And then I had this I was mesmerized by the book of Revelation in the Bible when I was a kid. So random. And I would always go to the prophecies, and I couldn't understand why. I was just so attracted to it. Later down the line, I actually was atheist. So I was atheist, didn't believe in anything. And then all of a sudden I had a very traumatic experience in my life. And after that flipped, I went to a medium. I was guided to a medium. I said, I need to have hope. I need to have answers. I'm going to say this very bluntly and be very completely honest. Is there a reason for life? Why continue living? And in a good dark way, but in a dark way, but in a really good way. I just wanted to understand the answers. And when I went to a medium, I discovered that I was a medium myself. And it changed my life. So, and then things started kind of correlating for me of like, oh my gosh, my invisible friends, those were loved ones. And it came through in readings from other people being like, hey, you had an invisible friend named this, this, and this. They're like, they weren't invisible. They were real. And so it changed my life knowing like, wow, there is life after death. Because before the events of my life, you could never convince me. So yeah, so that's essentially how it is. I've been developing as a medium and psychic for several years now, probably 6-7 years. And I go back and forth to school at Arthur Findlay College in London. So I go there for courses. I study with a lot of the great tutors over there, and I study here in Orange County as well with some of my great mentors, and I teach as well. So I've just realized I have a gift from God, and I want to be able to share and be able to heal. So that's what I'm doing, and I want to be able to share more love, I guess you could say, and also talk to dead people because it's fun.
Well, thank you so much. And I wanted to ask. I've had people say to me, well, I do this frequently. I do have readings a lot, and people, how come we don't know that we have that gift until we go to somebody and they tell us we have the gift? We just think it's nothing, or I don't know. But
because
we never really know. People say, well, if you were a medium, wouldn't you know what's going to happen next to you?
No,
it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't, because we have doubts and we're conditioned to be in society that no, this doesn't exist, or it's wrong to be able to speak to the other world, or and so we're conditioned to not truly believe in it, and we're conditioned that you need to work your life to death, because when you die you're done. So it's a societal thing, and it's a cultural thing as well, because in other cultures around the world they don't believe that, and they do, and they are very much in touch with it. And also I get that all the time, like, you lost your keys, you're psychic, you should know. I'm like, well, technically I can bust out an astrology chart and go on there and find out where my keys are. So just so you know. But no, when it comes to it doesn't work that way. It doesn't be like, oh, psychic, I know everything. It's an intuitive, it's a gift that just things come to us. And we sometimes don't have a choice. It just comes to us. And that's also, we just become in denial of our intuition. It's just, like I said, it's just this conditioning of society for us to ignore it.
Right. I think I deny mine because for me, it's an unknown and it's scary, and I'm not sure, like, what is that? And, like you said, you've been conditioned. So it's like, oh, if I think that, then I'm going to be possessed, and then this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. So I just put that way down, because I'm like, no, because I don't want anybody to say Grace was okay, and then one day she was just looking at a nut.
Like, Grace was okay, and then there's Emily Rose over here, like don't worry, I promise you, and I tell this to everybody right before I have a reading with them, I promise you there is no such thing as negative spirits. There's no such thing as evil spirits. And people always say, and yes, there are definitely going to be mediums and psychics out there being like, you need to protect your energy, you need to protect yourself. I'm sorry, you need to protect yourself and your energy from other people on this planet. That's what you need to protect yourself from. The other world is unconditional love. The other world is here to guide you. This is essentially purgatory. Like, we are learning the goods and bads of, like, and trying to, like, develop our divine spirit, to develop our divineness. Like, they're not going to steer you into evilness. Like, it doesn't work that way. And so, and a lot of people, the reason why they think like, oh my God, it's evil spirits, like I said, it's not only just a societal or a religious thing. It's also just, we just can't comprehend sometimes that when we fear something, when we don't know what it is, we automatically, our mind goes to fear, right? So you hear, for instance, you hear like a crack at the door, like, and you see somebody walking, but nobody's there. Your mind's going to go to fear, because you're like, who's walking in? Nobody's here, but I hear something. Clearly something is going to get at me and, do something bad to me. But in actuality, if that is a ghost or spirit, I like to say, probably most likely a spirit visiting you, they're wanting to show them your presence, that they're around, so they can say hi. This doesn't mean it's bad, but like I said, it's a fight and flight response as humans, as our animalistic behaviors, for us to respond that way. So it's being able to take away that fear and really look at it objectively when you're doing the spiritual work of like, okay, is this really scary, or is it just my mind playing into the fear? So.
Nice. And Mary Ellen, can you speak on the clairsenses, right? And if, as a medium or a psychic, are you gifted in one more than the other, or do you have to work on harnessing all five? How does that happen?
So it's really interesting. I do believe that most mediums are clairvoyant, meaning they can be able to see. Like, I can get an imprint, but everybody can have all clairs. So it's not as if, and a lot of us have dominance in one or another, and we start developing one certain trait in a clair. So being able to see is usually one of the first clair. The other one is claircognizance, like being able to know and understand, and clairsentience is like the feelings. And those are the ones that all kind of correlate together. And as you advance yourself, you usually advance to like the clairaudience and everything else, and they're being able to have senses. But then again, I know mediums who automatically had clairaudience, and so what that means is they could hear spirit, and they could just go, oh my gosh, like, you know, Rebecca's right here in the other world, blah 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 blah, and they can almost like talk to them. So I mean, some people are a lot more gifted than others in different clairs, but I am 100% a true believer that if you ask the other world when you're a medium, if you want to develop all the clairs, you will develop all the clairs.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple of guests on today, and I am going to let them, you know, go ahead and ask you a question or two, and then, you know, then we'll go back and forth, and you can explain or what have you until we're all done. So you're guiding this today because it's your interviewing session. So Janet, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Go ahead. She's going to be very emotional. I'm going to tell you all that.
That is completely.
My son passed away a little over a year ago, and I'd like to know if there's any messages from him or any signs I should look for of him.
Absolutely. So like, while I'm actually, the moment that you said that, I noticed that the passing was sudden. Am I correct?
Yes.
I'm feeling though as this was a very sudden passing, and this was really taken away, and and I'm feeling as though this was a shock for you, not just for you, but I just even feel like for him, like I feel like it was almost too soon and too sudden, and I'm feeling as though like this, but does it make sense that it was premeditated?
I feel like it was premeditated for me. I mean, of course it was a shock, but I kind of had thoughts years ago. Like I was at a funeral once, and I thought, I'm going to be sitting up there and my son's going to be deceased.
Yeah. So it was like almost like it was already known that this was going to be happening. This was going to come to fruition per se, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's coming to me, and he's coming to me saying like this was kind of an already known thing, even though it was still shock. If you can understand that.
Yeah, I do.
That. As he's coming through, he sees a very like a simple type of guy as well. Like he sees very simple, very to the point. Like I almost see him like the type that's just like wearing like just a white t-shirt and jeans. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's coming through, and he's saying, I was just such a simple man. Like that's just how I was, and that's just like a simple guy, and how he had and it seems as though he had a very small trusting group. It was a very small group in his life. He didn't have too much outside. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, he had a small core of friends. They've been friends for a long time, but he touched a lot of people's lives. Yeah,
and what I'm saying is that like he touched it, but he had a very particular group. Like it wasn't as if he would go after. Okay, so like as I'm going into it, because I don't want to give too much, you know, I want to make sure I give something for you, because like as he's coming through, he's just saying, Mom, I'm sorry. And he's saying, I don't know if this has anything to do, he's giving me something blue. I'm trying to understand what this has to do.
Blue.
Hold on one second. Something blue. He's actually going ahead, and he's telling me that he's saying like if he would have done it all over again, he would. And he's saying like, Mom, I've seen you grieving till like since this day, like I'm seeing you can't move forward, because he's saying that you've been in this constant state of circular grief. and that you have, and it's very hard for you to outreach, and you've been moving as you can, like day to day, but it's so hard for you because I'm feeling as though there is a cloud around you that is constantly with the questions, and it's constant questions. I'm seeing it not just where you are, but I'm seeing it during the day. I'm seeing it where you work. I'm seeing it everywhere you go. Like I'm seeing as though there's constant questions, and I'm also seeing you begging for signs everywhere you go. I'm literally looking at you and watching you, seeing, like, looking at the sky, looking at this, looking at anything, and you're trying to interpret. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because he's literally saying, like, Mom, you got to stop grasping. Like, he's saying, you got to stop grasping. He's like, and he's saying this as if this is coming through with him, saying you have to stop grasping and trying to translate, because it's almost as though, like, you keep trying to translate. And I literally seeing you walking out the door, walking to your car, and I'm seeing, like, there's moments of like, let's say there's a leaf that almost passing by, and you're like, that's him. He's there, but he's not going to be, he doesn't want you to formulate things in your mind. He literally saying, and I feel as though, like, this is where he's coming in and to be like, mom, like, hold on, like, let's grasp reality. Like, he wants you to grasp reality a little bit. Like, I'm still here, but just stop looking, because there'll come at times that are unexpected. And I'm feeling as though there's been times, and he's saying that, like, he comes when you're cooking, because it sounds as though, like, you're cooking, like, literally when your mind isn't there. And he made it a, like, good point of, like, while you are not following through or, like, trying to constantly search, because I'm even seeing, like, letters, like, I keep seeing, like, reading a letter or reading something over and over again. Does that make sense?
I do. Yeah. I've found cards, from the past from him. I've come, also people at the reception wrote memories that I read them.
And I'm seeing this constant, like, looking through things and looking, and he's saying not to necessarily let it go, but he's saying, like, you don't have to he's saying you don't have to go through the pain every single time. Right. And it's as if he's saying that you've been reliving the pain every single time. And he's almost telling you, like, Mom, like, the more you learn to love yourself and move forward and know, like, it's okay that I'm here, the more that I'm going to show what you'll be able to see me. Because it's almost as if, like, your cloud of where you've been and where you have been, it's very much blocking. It's actually blocking him being able to come into your life. So I just want to give you that message. I'm not going to go, like, too far into it. I didn't know I was going to do a little bit of a reading today.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So I just want you to know that he's here, and he is, but I'm just seeing, like, this, like, he wants you to take care of you. Like, I'm feeling like you've neglected you this whole year. Like, it's not as if, like, you really just go day by day, like, and he wants to show up more, and he is there, but he just wants you to be able to take care of you and love you first, because once you start loving yourself again, I'm feeling as though he's going to be able to step into the signs that you're looking for, and they're going to be very unexpected, and they're not going to be obvious. And he almost doesn't want to tell you. Like, I'm almost feeling as though, like, I'm feeling a very big, like, so feeling a very big connection with nature here, like, and I'm feeling a very big connection, like how he will be speaking, but it's right now, it's in terms of grounding for you. So just and that's honestly the message, because I'm feeling as though, like, he almost as though, like, he doesn't want to talk too much, like, because if he just doesn't want you to keep reliving it. You keep reliving it.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave that with you, and just know that like, he's there. He's completely around you all the time, and he loves you so much. But take care of you, and you're gonna start seeing more of him. I promise. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you for that, Mary Ellen. And I have to say, yes, Janet, that is true.
Yes.
You just relive this grief over and over. And I don't know what it's like, so I can't say that I wouldn't. But I agree. I do want you to start knowing he's in a better place and moving on.
Yes.
And I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, Miss Amber, do you have anything you wanted to ask?
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I
can. I just have a question kind of based more general around anxiety. Because I feel like I'm a little bit unsettled that way sometimes. And I get that kind of to go back to what you were touching on earlier about the crack in the door, or, like, you just kind of have that intuition. And I used to be like up at night and see stuff, and it used to be really hard for me, especially like right after my grandfather passed away. We were really close, and it was just really hard for me. And I think I was able to, I don't know if I was able to tune it out or what it was, but I was a lot more, I was able to sleep. I was able to ignore it and not, I didn't have like that fear and that anxiety when I would get like the hairs on the back of my neck type of thing. But now it's kind of coming back a little bit more. And my question is, what is your advice for that type of anxiety? Because I know how to like ground myself and kind of bring myself back to reality, but there's sometimes I get freaked the heck out, you know, and I feel stuff. So what would you say to somebody who gets, you know, anxious in those times?
Talk to spirit. So right
Oh,
now, we're,
not what I
I
want.
know. Literally to being able to ground yourself. And I mean, like not saying that you're not grounding yourself, but being able to like let them know like, hey, I have my boundaries. I have that limit. You have to be able to establish that with them. So I'm going to tell you this, spirits are opportunists. Any moment that they can to be able to communicate, and you will have a beautiful gift and a lovely gift to communicate, they're going to come to you all the time because not many people are in touch with them. So they're looking at it as an opportunity, like, oh my God, she can see me. I'm going to come say hi, blah, blah, like, how are you doing? I'm here. I love you, blah, blah, blah. So you need to tell them like, hey, I love you, but I need my space.
This is too much right now. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Cause I had a really crazy, and I feel my grandpa all the time, but he told me exactly how he would come through, and I kind of feel it cause he had cancer for a little while, and you know, I was able to say goodbye, luckily, which is not, a lot of people aren't that fortunate. So I kind of had an easier transition once he was, you know, gone, but, sometimes it's too much for me. And I would talk to my cousin. I was like FaceTiming her one time and my whole Christmas tree just like fell over. I swear to God, I was like, nope. And I was waiting on like my couch to be delivered. I was like, now I wish some creepy couch delivery guy would come and try and like, you know, I was like, oh, it was too much. And I was like paralyzed. I get paralyzed. Like I can't move. I literally, and I'm just like, and she's like, just tell them that you're not cool with that, you know? And I tried to kind of talk it down, but does that really work? Like,
so then this is the next step. And it's like, if you're still having these anxieties and still having it after you're talking to them, literally close your eyes and just imagine love. Okay. What does love feel like? What does it feel like? Like that every sense of you. And when you're having that anxiety, just feel love. And do that for a little bit, like meditate on just the idea of love and to see where your mindset is after that. So if you've already like gone through like, all right, did the meditation, did grounding, I already talked to spirits and still feeling it, the next step is just that simple word. Okay. Because I mean, for me, that is, I'm not gonna lie, there's actually been instances where I've had similar circumstances and I'm still human. Like I'm not like, I'm still, you know, like, I'm still human. I still have my fears. I'm still built the same way as everyone else. So, you know, I still like, what is that? Exactly. And there's been times where I'm like, okay, how am I going to put myself in a situation where no matter what, it's going to be good? I'm like, you just feel love. And so I would like you to start doing that when you've tried all other options.
Okay, I can definitely do that. And the way you said that, because I always describe it as like there's a space where even if it's like silent, like even if everything is going crazy, it's like this space where it's like it's like a mute. But it's that feeling, it's that space where it's like just imagining what love, the essence, what that is, what that feels like in all of there. So that's a really good way to put it, because that's a way easier way to get there for me, at least for me to get there mentally. So I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a big thing for me is my anxiety. So thanks.
Of course.
Tiyanna, did you want to say anything? And can I ask, Leanne is on. Does she want to ask a question or is she just on to listen?
Hi, I'm just on to listen.
All righty. Thank you, babe.
Yeah, of course.
Tiyanna, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I did have a question for you, Mary Ellen. Earlier, you spoke on how oftentimes society in general can say, oh, communicating with spirits can be an evil thing. You have to watch out for evil spirits and the evil eye and all that stuff. And you rebutted that, it's really people, right? People that you have to be cautious of. And so my follow-up question to that, or to you, is how do you, as the lay consumer, not being tapped in with your abilities, how do you navigate what's safe and what's not safe, right? Because I'm sure there are many people out there who I firmly believe are blessed with the gift, but like you mentioned, humans being humans, some are good, some are bad. There are some people that I think are come to it in a negative space. And so how do I, as someone who's not tapped in, how do I ensure that the person I am going to ask questions and open myself up to is positive? How do I make sure that it's safe?
Absolutely. And that's a wonderful question. And the first thing you want to make sure is when you talk to that medium or psychic, you have to make sure of how they do their reading. And right away, you're going to be able to tell if there's a fear-based reading. If it is fear-based in any way, and they're telling you that, like, okay, you need to, there's somebody following you, or if they believe in these kinds of things, and it's a negative sphere, or you need to cleanse yourself, or you need to get like clearing of your energy because of the negativity, and you research and you kind of see what kind of reviews they have. I always believe we are a stance now over social media, to see where a medium or a psychic stands in terms of how they deliver their messages. So it's not even just doing your research and making sure that they're not fear-based, and just understanding that, knowing, I also believe in intention. So if you are really wanting to be able to connect to the other world and you want to go through somebody, you want to be able to put that thought out there. The other world is highly intelligent, beyond our own intelligence, and they will direct you to the right person who will be a learning experience for you in a good way. And as long as you put that out there, I firmly believe you will find somebody that is. But just be aware, and just be aware of people who think that, they come up with these ridiculous things. And I know that, first of all, that's not only fear-based readings, they make you feeling like you need to come back for more, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a real reading. A real reading, like my goal is when I have a reading with somebody, they don't need to come back to me for a long time or ever again, because they've gotten the answers that they needed to, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm a medium, I still go to a medium, so I still go. But if they also, I want you to look out for, if they make you feel like you need to come back to really discover more, or you need more, and they put that pressure on you as well, that's also something to be wary about as well when you're having a reading with them, or you do some research about that. Because the goal of the spirit world is to help you move forward, not to have you take a few steps back. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I do have another question. Sorry, Grace. My other question is, you talked a little bit about earlier when I asked about the 5 clairs. How does one go about, if they are interested, how do they go about strengthening one or the other, or kind of just tapping into your natural ability?
Absolutely. So I like to say this, it just obviously depends on the level. So if you're just trying to understand and being able to get intuitive, meditate. And what they also call it when it comes to mediumship and psychic work, it's called sitting in the power. So essentially what that is when you're meditating, you put the intent out that you want to be connecting to the other world and you want to be connecting to your guides. And from there, they're going to give you energy. So as one of my teachers, Michael Mayo, would tell me, is that just imagine when you're sitting in the power and you're meditating, that you have this battery pack on your back, and you're just developing all of this energy so you can be able to connect to the other world, because we have to heighten our vibration. Once we're able to do that, and once we're really able to connect with ourselves and with the other world, they will start helping you with the clairs, and they will always start with your strongest, most potential clair that you've already developed. And from there, they will guide that. Okay. So yes, you can go and be like, well, I want to be clairaudient. I'm not, but the thing is you can't be like, I want to be clairaudient, that's all I want to be. Like, no, doesn't work that way. Trust me, I want to be clairaudient too, but doesn't, like, I get to pick and choose. They decide from, your experiences, your personality, and from your strengths. to develop the clairs, and they start building upon one another. Like I said, like claircognizance and clairsentience were my strongest ones. I've developed into clairvoyance, and now I'm getting into clairaudience. I've recently started developing that, and you just let them guide it. So the basics I always say is sitting with yourself, and just sitting with yourself, even if it's just 10-15 minutes a day. And I know it's so hard when it comes to like your mind is just monkey minding everywhere, right? Like it just wants to grab on everything, right? And I've been doing this for several years, and I still can get that way. So especially when there's a lot going on in your life, but just have faith that they will develop you to your best ability. And don't put so much pressure on the clairs, but mainly just allow it to be, and allow the other world to influence your intuitive abilities, and just allow it to develop. Because how we develop, every single medium is completely different of how we develop in our clairs. Completely different. We may be all clairvoyant, right? But how I'm seeing is different than how my colleague might see it. Like, so it's we're all so different. I hope that helps too.
Yes, thank you for that.
That was really helpful. That really taught me some things. But I was thinking about what Amber said, and how she gets this feeling, and I truly understand what she's talking about. It's like an anxiety, but it stays right in my stomach and my solar plex. And then I'm like, okay, I know something's coming, and I can be calm with it, because I know that I always say to myself, you've been here before, you know what's going to happen. It's never the same day. It's either, some hours after or the next day that something happened that I knew was going to. Or lately, for the past, I don't know, maybe year now, when I'm all alone, this voice says something to me. And it only calls my name. It doesn't really say anything else. It just calls my name. And then I'm looking around going,
like, who are you?
I thought I was here by myself. And typically I'm in the shower when it does it. And I'm like, I hope they don't just walk in. But then there's nobody there. And so I'm not, at first I was afraid of it, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. It's just a male voice that calls my name. And it's quick. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're trying to let me know something. What it is, I don't know until it happens. And like I said, I maybe could work on that, but I don't really want to. I just want to do it like it's doing right now. I don't need to hone in on it or develop it. I just let it be, because that to me is just all I need right now.
And that's perfect. And you know what? Not everybody needs to be incredibly intuitive. Like, we're all complete. And I like to tell people, like, we're all on a completely different path. Like, we all have abilities, but some are more above the surface level than others, right? And sometimes you have an ability and you're like, I didn't ask for this. Like, what is this? Like, Dad, why are you calling me from the other world? I want to talk to you.
Right.
Sometimes, right? And it's so, and that's another conversation I had earlier too. It was just like also developing those boundaries and like putting that intention, like, hey, cool, thank you, I really appreciate like you helping me out, but allow me to go on my journey a bit. Like, just allow me. And setting that intention. So just know when like you have those anxiety moments, and I'll be honest with you, I've had those too, where I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. It came to fruition and it just happened. I'm like, why do I have this? And it's like, sometimes just also know they come with pure love and it come as a gift. And so sometimes it's good for you to know, and to almost like, maybe you don't even realize you subconsciously were already prepared for whatever the event was going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though you didn't want it to happen, they subconsciously prepared it for you. And so and then all of a sudden it happened. You're like, why did I have to know this? And you should be saying, instead of saying why did you have to tell me this, you should say thank you. Mm-hmm. Because you have no idea what they could have been doing on the sidelines for you while they were preparing you for you to know that moment. So I always like to tell people, like, even if it's something that you weren't wanting to know or you just happen to know, just give them a thank you, because I promise you it's always in your best interest.
Okay, that's good to know. So thank you. I want to thank you for all that you've done. But it's like, I don't know. I just know when I know, or it's like deja vu. Oh, I've been here before. I've already said this to this person before. Or, I'll tell you, I don't really think, that relationship's going to work, or you shouldn't do that. But people they don't care. They don't want to listen until it happens. And then I'm like,
I told you so. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Especially the whole deja vu thing. Like and they're like, I swear I've done this before. I'm like, honey, because you have. It's called contract. You try to know before you come into this lifetime, you review this life. You determine which body, which your family is, and you already reviewed it all. So you're having that deja vu for a reason. So you've already seen this happening. It was part of the plan. And I was like, I'm telling you what's going to happen. And they just have to learn on their own sometimes.
Right.
That's okay.
They just have to. So I just step back now and say, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'll say it once. And if that doesn't work, then you learn on your own. I'm just trying to avoid a lot of drama for you, but that's on people. You can't make them change. And like, no one can really make me change, but I do listen when people tell me, and I'm like, oh, because I'm one of those, well, I think I'm going to do that, but no, I want to do this. And then if you tell me, well, no, you should do that, then I put that in the mix. So I'm always all over the place. Always.
Yeah. It's fair. So much.
It looks like we have a question. Amber, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I had a question because Grace, you were saying, you kind of you hear the voice and kind of can tell when things are going to happen. I was wondering what your input would be on, I guess, when you have like really lucid dreams. If there's good messages, because sometimes it's a whole thing. So I'm just curious your whole take on that in any perspective.
Absolutely. And I love the conversation of lucid dreaming, because that is you tapping into another dimension. Like that is you tapping in. And it's a beautiful, but it's also could be like you wake up being like, what just happened? Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, like I like to remind people when we're sleeping and we're in that deep REM sleep, we can leave as souls. Like we're just leaving, like we're figuring things out on our own. We can be visiting other souls, or we could be just always also our subconscious could be working out like everyday problems, of course. But when it comes to lucid dreaming and you just feel like it's so tangible and so real, like there could be a deeper meaning to that, and just to always have an open mind to it. I also don't want people though to think every dream has like some kind of hidden encrypted code, because it's not like that. Because human biology, we dream because of it's a subconscious trying to understand what's going on in our day-to-day, our worries. But when you know, and you just internally know when it's like the next level of it, that's when you can be like, okay, cool. And I really would like to tell people to write down your dreams and be able to write them down and put them away. Don't overanalyze, write them down and put them away. And you might be surprised about what the little secrets that the other world have been trying to tell you, especially when it comes to past loved ones. It's so funny. Like I even had I go to Arthur Finley, and going to that college, you sleep on campus, like you eat, sleep, and breathe mediumship and psychic work, mediumship. And I have the most lucid dreams while I'm there. And it's also based on the energy that's around you, right? So it's based on, so if you're sleeping in a certain area as well, that can allow that. If you have a higher energy in a certain room, it can allow you to even get into more of a lucid dreaming state as well, and to connect with the other world. The dreams I had were absolutely bizarre, and they had so much meaning to them. But yeah, no, it's all very much connected to your intuition and the messages they're trying to tell you.
I appreciate that. I guess I'll start writing them down, because sometimes they seem like it's like I just woke up from real life. So it feels like I jump back and forth sometimes. I know it's extra, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm right there. I'm just through then, because kind of for this extra club, because I'm telling you, when I get to the lucid dreams, I'm like, oh, where's my notebook? And then I look back, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it all makes sense.
See, and I try not to look too far into it, but maybe hindsight would be better. Mm-hmm.
And hindsight for me, it worked, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why am I like that? Makes sense. And then like through 2-3 months later, I'm like, oh my gosh, like
okay,
you know.
I got an experiment to do then.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
That's a really good idea. I'm going to start writing my dreams down. I never remember them though. I wake up and I do my thing, and I'm like, I think about it all day, but I can only remember certain little pieces, but I should just write it down, and then I'd know. Like I always have this I have a lot of vivid dreams, but then and I don't dream that often that I know of. And then I have this one where it's always something trying to suck me into a dark hole. And I just know that I need to avoid it. And it's so scary when it's happening, but then it's usually something to do with a person in my life that I know shouldn't be in my life. Like I had a coworker who always started trouble, and I had that same dream until I left that job.
Wow.
It's very powerful. And it's not only other, maybe your guys, but it's also your higher self. It's your higher self telling you subconsciously in your dreams, saying, hey, you need to get yourself out of this situation, and it's you actually telling yourself that. And we're in your higher, like, spiritual, essence. So it's interesting how dreams can play a huge relevant part into developing your sense of intuition, your sense of self, and spirituality, because they're a huge guide. And I always say, like, even just writing them down, even if they're not lucid dreams, and even if they absolutely bizarre and you're dreaming of unicorns, like, it just write it down, because there's nothing that can hurt you from you writing these things down. It actually will only help. And make sure that when you do this, that you do it the second you wake up. Like, it should be before you touch your phone, and you shouldn't even be touching your phone anyways when you wake up, by the way. I know you're guilty. I know everyone's guilty. I see those faces. I know. So you're not even supposed to be doing that. You go straight to that notepad and just write down even just like bullet points of what it is. Like, I dreamt about this, this, and this. And even if it was nothing and you really can't, just write down, I don't remember anything right now, because it will get you in the habit.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I like that. And so we are going to start to wrap up, and I just want to say I truly appreciate you. I like the answers you give, and like I was telling Tiyanna once, I think, or I tell everybody this, that if I'm going to do a reading, I will never start off by telling you anything, because I think that's you fishing so that you can tell me what I just told you back. And so I have like no worries, issues when I'm ever talking to you, because it's so true, and what you say is true, and my ancestors coming back to say something has been spot on, and I love it.
Oh, thank you. I love reading you. You're my thing. I mean, you also have a lot of good people, but
I do. I know, and they love to come in, and they're loud and bold.
Yeah, they're all very loud and bold.
Where you get it from,
right?
Mary Ellen, can you share with all of us how we can get in touch with you if you do readings for the general public? And if so, how can we follow you?
Absolutely. If you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, is at Miss Medium. At Medium Mary Ellen. Sorry, I changed my name on that recently. I say Medium Mary Ellen. And on Facebook, it's Miss Medium Mary Ellen. And I also have an email. It's bookings@mediummaryellen.com.
Nice.
All right. So Mary Ellen, can I ask you to send me all of those tags so that I'll enter them into the podcast information. So if people are interested, they can just click on it and get to you.
Absolutely. I will do that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Miss Mary. Really, really appreciate it. And you will be hearing from me soon.
I'm excited.
What, you don't want me to do your reading, Tiyanna?
No.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you talked about how you didn't want to get in touch with your intuition, girl. I'm calling you out right now.
That's true. I'm going to keep it quiet for a little while longer and not try and hone in on it, because I know it does scare me a little bit. But I thank you all. Thank you for coming in, joining us. We will see you again next week. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.